So, uh, hello, we're Erica Chiaparelli from the United States and
Gisberto Evangelisti from Italy.
Members of the AO Spine Juice Club.
Welcome to the Expert Insight series, where we interview worldwide expert spine surgeons who will candidly share their professional and personal experience with us. In this interview, we have the privilege to interview Dr. Aaron Lazary.
Dr. Lazary is currently the Deputy Director at the National Center for Spinal Disorders at Budapest, Hungary, and as well as an Associate Professor, Head of the Department at Semmelweis University, also in Budapest. He has been engaged in multiple national and international publications in the past, such as Assistant Editor of the European Spine Journal, and is an editor of the Hungarian Spine Journal before that. His recent engagement at the AO Spine include his role as a reviewer of the AO Spine Europe Young Research Awards, as well as the reviewer of the AO Spine Discovery and Innovation Award, and he's currently the Regional Research Officer for Europe and South Africa. Very impressive.
So, good morning, Dr. Lazary. How are you today?
Fine, thanks. Actually, it's 6 p.m. in Hungary, and Tuesday is my outpatient clinic day.
Wow.
So this is the, how can I say, most difficult day in the week.
Boring day.
Probably.
Not boring, but it's a controversial.
Many patients, probably.
Not only the numbers, but the composition of the patients are really sometimes difficult. Actually, my public outpatient clinic is only open for 2 more patients, spine tumor patients, and some really complex degen cases or revision cases or something like that. But I enjoy most this part of the day. This is the morning part, because on the afternoon I have the private outpatient clinic, which is open actually for everybody. And simple, how can I say, low back pain or other patients, which because for a surgeon it's not easy, because in a lot of times I realize that actually I can't help. I only give some advice or actually in our hospital we are in quite a good situation, because for example we have our own psychologist team, and the patient can have a psychosocial support and some techniques for diminish the psychosocial problems in possible problems in a chronic back patient or back problems. But I'm almost never really tired in the OR, but at the end of the outpatient clinic day, it's really you have to escape from the hospital.
Okay.
Well, that now that you mentioned, I think it's really important to have a psychiatry or psychological department. I think in every specialty, in the surgical ones, I think is even more, because the majority of the patients that go into surgery, they always have certain. It's problematic, and I'm guessing with any tumor patient, it's even worse or more difficult to go through. So it's pretty amazing that you have that department available.
Yes, I agree, and it's not only useful, especially for the patients, but it's also very interesting, and also from scientific point of view. And I have to tell you that it was started this kind of complex approach or complex thinking about the patients by my former boss, Peter Pavorga. And he invited psychologists to the spine surgical department 30 years ago, or maybe more. And from the scientific point of view, because I was always interested in that, because you can realize that almost all of the spine patients have the different dimensions or different parts of the pain or the symptoms, and the complex entity of the patient is really important in the management or the treatment, or because after a while we are happy doctors, surgeons than if the patient is happy.
Yeah.
And this is really not really a complex and multifactorial issue.
Yeah.
And what is interesting that it's really this kind of personality background or psychosocial background is different in different type or different pathological group of spine patients. So you will face absolutely different issues in deformity patients, especially children, compared to and also in adult deformity. Or this is absolutely different in tumor patients or the common degen problems. So the fact is that psychologists in general are trained, not in the university, not in the medical university, not in the medical school. So, for example, also in this hospital, it took about 10 years to try to find the common section of the thinking structure of the surgeons and the psychologists. So it took a lot of time to have the possibility or to have a common platform and where we can understand each other. And today it works very well in the everyday life. So, for example, all of the patients who are indicated for a surgery by a surgeon in this hospital is undergo a psychosocial screening process. And actually, independently from the indicating surgeon, the psychological team, if they find any problems or yellow flags, they grab the patient and start to work with them before the surgery, to prepare them for the surgery. And also there is a post-operative care. So if there is a patient in risk, they have the possibility, and the psychologist will visit him or her at the ward and also after the surgery. So with this kind of support, or we call that positive orientation, positive preparation for the surgery, we believe that the results are better.
Yeah.
Today we can't prove that because it's not easy, because the personality of the patients are really heterogeneous and dynamic in time.
Yeah.
But so just now I have the newest PhD student of mine is not a doctor but a psychologist. So our plan is to try to do some research on that and try to find some evidence supporting the role of the psychologist, not in the non-surgical treatment but in the surgical treatment of these patients.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That's really, really important, I think so. So just starting, we kind of introduce yourself a little bit, but we're going to allow you to first introduce yourself, starting with your full name, specialty, and where and when did you complete your medical degree and residency?
Okay, so my here we have the only one so-called spine center in Hungary. It means that in our hospital we have 130 beds, a quite big and nice ICU with 12 beds, and for spine we have 5 ORs. I was graduated at the Semmelweis University. This is the medical school in Budapest, the oldest one in Hungary. And after the medical school, I immediately started a PhD or doctoral fellowship there. So in the first 2-3 years after the medical school, actually, I was in the basement of the internal medicine clinic in the lab, and I did a lot of lab work there. I killed the rats and mice, and I extracted the intervertebral disc from the tail of the mice. So, and cell cultures, genes, gene expression studies. Yeah, that time I was not only really interested in molecular genetics and molecular biology, but it was really a fast developing field of medicine that time. So almost every 5 year or every year a new technology came up, and just the human genome was discovered, and our knowledge about the genes and gene expression regulation was extremely higher than before, or some years before. So it was exciting, but also that time I wanted, and I tried to focus on some spine-related research work. And I started the official residency after this 3-year-long PhD fellowship. But I did all of these studies and research that time at the Semmelweis University.
Okay, and
after that I did the residency. I'm an orthopedist, so I'm orthopedic surgeon.
And how did you start then spine surgery from the orthopedic? Or why?
Actually, I thought that you will ask that. So, but the story is always for me. So I always tell the same story because I think it's really important to know where can we or where can a person find the motivation and the root of the ambitions or something like that. So when I started the medical school, actually, I didn't think about being a clinician first. I was open for almost everything, and I was really interested in medical genetics and molecular biology. And but you know, it took about the first 2-3 years of the medical school, then actually you don't have really clinical lessons or only the basics and anatomy and biomechanics, biochemistry and so on. So after that, when we started the clinical practice, not practice, but the training at the medical school, I realized that orthopedics is quite close to me because I always like to play with some gizmos and gadgets and, you know, build something. So tools and screws and metals were always close to me as a children too. And when I was 15 years old, my mother had a 2-level cervical surgery and a 2-level ACDF. And at that time, I was really amazed about the surgery and the effect of the surgery, because I remember that my mother had really severe pain and disability. And after the surgery, she was only about 40, 42, but after the surgery, she healed completely. So I had a personal experience with the amazing word or amazing possibility of spine surgery.
Okay.
And but my mother's surgery took about 7 hours, so
wow.
It was yeah. But you know, it was more than 20 years ago. No, 30 years ago. My God.
Oh wow.
So iliac crest,
yeah,
everything.
All that.
But the result was really, really good. And in the medical school, I always try to find some calls, small applications, you know, to have some extra money. These were scientific or student work or something like that. And one of this call was about actually rehabilitation of musculoskeletal disease patients or something like that. And that time I tried to, so I had to write some kind of thesis about this in this topic as a student thesis to win the application, to win the money, the grant. And that time I tried to find a place where I can do some background work to write this thesis. And I found the Spine Center. And the Spine Center didn't belong officially to the university, but it was accepted as a training center or hospital. And one of my, how can I say, not friend, but so somebody gave me the book of Peter Varga. And this book was very small book about spinal stenosis. But I read this book in the 4th year of the medical school, and I understood everything. And I realized that it's quite a nice, complex word, but it seems like like a whole issue and not only parts of something, but it can work. So these different coincidences together directed me to the Spine Center, and it was more 25 years ago. So, and from that time, actually, I work here as a student, as PhD student after, and as after resident, and so on. But I think and I always, we always have young fellows, surgeons from abroad, from Hungary, and I always try to encourage them to find the field, the profession which fit your personality, because otherwise maybe some points it can be really exciting, it can be really funny or good, and but you will struggle with your always between your personality and the everyday work. So it's important to find whatever. So I never could imagine myself, for example, as a dermatologist, because it doesn't fit my personality.
Yeah,
so
I completely agree.
So you mentioned now why you choose the field, and it's really interesting because the majority of the surgeons that we have interviewed so far, they always said this word about coincidence. So about going into spine or ortho in general. So what you will say, or what do you think are the pros and cons of becoming a spine surgeon?
Very good question. Let me start with the most important pro. It's a really amazing field of medicine. I mean that after a long training, and it can be a cons, you are able to give the life back to the patients. And maybe it's a little bit mysterious sometimes, and that's why you have a lot of failures. But because we can't explain everything, and I think it's again it's a pro, because I believe in the art of medicine. So I believe that is the human nature and the human body, disease, pain, well-being. These cannot be explained 100% with physics or biology or action reaction. A lot of other factors can influence your everyday life, and that's why it's every day is exciting. So personally, me as a spine surgeon, I never had a boring day. So,
yeah.
And for a personality who doesn't like really boring, it's important to have a work, to have a job, which is absolutely not boring.
Yeah.
And one cons can be the long training, but for me, for example, it's not a cons, it's a pro. It's an advantage, but that you are never ready, for everything. So
Yeah.
after a while, I don't know. We are starting the training with the basics, with the degen stuff. You can increase your knowledge to different procedures, specialized for different patient groups. And there is always a way for improvement. And it doesn't mean that you have to learn dermatology after 10 years of spine surgery. You can learn new spine surgical approaches, technological steps or methods, and so on. So it can be long. And I see some of my colleagues that or some of the surgeons who maybe don't like to learn, or I don't know, because learning is always learning always requires energy and time. So it's some kind of balance between the cost and benefit. And in learning, the real cost is your time and the energy, but the benefit is that the colors on your palette is more and more and more and more options for the patients.
True.
On the other hand, and it's really a cons, the time. So it's time consuming, not only the surgeries, long surgeries, big surgeries, but also this kind of requirement of the continuous learning, and you have to travel, you have to go courses and so on. So it's not easy to find the balance between the professional life and the personal life, which is not only about the family, but yourself. For example, this is my first year. I'm 44 this year. And from the beginning of this year, this is the first time when I have a hobby. And actually, I didn't realize in the last 20 years that I didn't have a hobby. I did work, or I did the family life. And I didn't do anything only for me. And I know that the present younger generations are more, how can I say, focused on this part of life, which is important.
It's a topic, yes. It's a current topic, yes, I would say.
Absolutely, and I respect that. Actually, I admire you that you have this ability to focus on yourself. It's good. But I always tell to the residents and the fellows that unfortunately you need cases. If you do the spine surgery, you have to do you have to see 10,000 cases, and you have to do thousands of surgery to have confidence, to have self-confidence. And after that, the work is, how can I say, easier. But if you don't have this kind of first 10 years of really tough work, you never be self-confident, and you are always struggling with in the OR and after the OR. So it really requires an investment.
Yeah.
And this investment is not about money, it's about time and energy. And sometimes, unfortunately, investment from the personal life.
Yeah, you're right. So talking about cases, every surgeon has that memorable cases from which he or she learned a lot. Could you share it with us if you have one memorable case?
Yeah, sure. I was mostly trained by Dr. Varga, who was a tumor surgeon. I mean that he did a lot of other cases, TGen and so on, but as a well-known tumor surgeon, I learned a lot from the importance of planning. And even today, a complex deformity correction or a tumor surgeon, I always make a pre-op plan. I have a standardized paper sheet where I draw the the resection planes, and also I describe with my hands the steps of the surgery. So, and it can help you, because in this case you only have to follow the plan.
Oh, yeah.
And it really helps. And I remember, I never forget a case when it was a chondrosarcoma young patient in the sacroiliac joint. So one side complete and unblock resection was the plan. And major steps on my sheet was about 15 steps from posterior to anterior, posterior surgery, stabilization, soft tissue reconstruction. So every important steps. And in this case, we always, fortunately, we have some partners. For example, a good abdominal surgeon, vascular surgeon, and so on. And the whole surgery took about 11 hours. And big reconstruction with harm's cage and everything. And you know, after we hadn't have any complication, nor during the surgery, nor after the surgery. And if you compare the post-op CT with the drawing about the reconstruction and resection that I planned, it's completely the same. So it proved to me that if you are prepared for such a complex and huge surgery, and the patient went back to work 3 months after such a huge surgery.
Oh.
So I think he was really motivated, young children, strong wife, and so on. But anyhow, it's, you know, you are resected one sacroiliac joint with S1 nerve root at that side. So it's really a huge functional deficit. But if you plan everything well, and if you have good partners, and if you are trained, and if you have patient enoughly to follow your plan, even these huge surgeries can provide a good outcome, a good functional and oncological outcome.
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's one of the things I like from surgery or even spine surgery is that sometimes you can plan something and it can go as planned, or maybe you just need to change your plan or be more creative in order to achieve what you want. So it's pretty interesting. If you could turn back time, what advice would you give to your younger you? What would you have done differently?
Oh, it's interesting.
Think about it.
Actually, nothing.
Okay.
I can tell you.
Okay.
You know,
all the mistakes or all the good things, the success, you will do exactly the same thing.
No. I had a lot of mistakes. I mean that I did a lot of
well, but
mistakes.
the mistakes are good.
Yeah, maybe
they brought you where you are right now. So I guess you learn from it.
Okay. I reformulate the answer. So I had some cases, and only not some, but unfortunately a number of cases where I would have done something in another way, you know,
Okay.
to avoid the further problems. So it's true. It's true. I felt nothing because I was focused on in general. I mean that career, because, you know, for example, I chose the PhD, the research, and it meant that I had quite how can I say? So I started my clinical career and also the gaining some money years later than compared to my other colleagues. So, but anyhow, I did that because I was interested and I enjoyed.
You worked fine, I think.
You worked.
Yes. So I would choose the same now. So, and
that's good.
Yeah, I learned a lot from the mistakes, and also, you know, in my personal career, I had not only the possibility but the responsibility to have a group quite early. So, and it's not easy to be a leader of even for a small group, and the group is bigger and bigger. So in the first 5 or 10 years, actually, I didn't know anything about leadership or this kind of skills and knowledge. Actually, thanks to AO Spine, I was in a leadership training program some years ago, and I learned tremendously a lot there. So maybe this kind of additional skills and knowledge are So these are really important if you have to lead some people, maybe 2 or 3 or 20. So I really advise to anybody who have the possibility or the responsibility to lead, to have a small or a bigger group, to immediately go to such a training for 2 days to pick up some knowledge which is not included into our medical or orthopedic training program, but is really, really important for not only for the people, but also for you for the next, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So maybe this should have been done earlier. I don't know.
Okay, thank you for the advice. So to end our conversation, let's engage a quick game in which we ask you a question and you reply with a quick answer. It's very easy. So what is your hobby? We've been talking
Guitar.
about it.
You have one?
Playing guitar.
Oh, guitar. Wow.
Okay, nice.
Playing, it's no. So try to playing guitar.
Not easy.
Did you play in the past or you just started
In
now?
the secondary school? So it
wow.
was really a 20 or 25 years long gap.
You're just try it again. Okay. What's your favorite book? Do you have any? That's not an easy question, though.
Always what I'm reading.
Okay.
I don't have any top one.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's see the next one.
Music in the OR, yes or not?
Yes.
Which, and if yes, what kind of music do you prefer during OR?
Oh God, he's
usually
gonna say metal.
Usually the 90s disco.
Oh my God. That's good.
But,
well, it was
but
way
because you know me and also most of the staff were teenagers or youngs that time. So we all know, especially a lot of really rubbish Hungarian songs. But you know,
makes everybody happy.
Yes.
It's important to be happy and do are. That's good.
Yes.
What about your favorite surgery?
Sacrectomy.
Okay.
And PSO.
Okay. And one word that defined spine surgery for you.
Sorry?
One word that defines spine surgery in one word, if you have it.
Exciting or
exciting. Okay.
But I don't know. It's not easy to describe.
We have like our top 3.
Passion.
Yes.
Passion is one of the top 3 words
passion is
that
one
everybody
of the
says.
top 3 with challenge and I don't remember the third one. Yeah.
I know passion is one of them.
Yeah,
challenge
passion,
is the other one.
Yes.
And there was like extraordinary or something like that, but it's pretty interesting. It's good with words.
Business, yeah.
Okay, so
but yeah, passion is good. Yes. It describes very well.
So, Dr. Lazary, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you
for being a source of inspiration for young surgeons all around the world and for our AU Spine Youth Club. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was really an honor for me.
Thank you for your time, really.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope that we see each other soon.
Yes, hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.